Hello. I don't know. Or maybe that's better. Hello, hello. How's it going, fam? Let's have some people jump on. Have our family meeting check-in time. See what's going on in the world. Hey, Laura, listening as I drive. You guys. Oh, the world that we live in. I saw, and I hope you saw that today we're going to do woke story hour. I'm just going to be reading some things. Gosh, before I don't feel like I just don't want to just jump in. Um, but yeah, I guess I will. I don't really have any pre-talk, any banter.
Well, give me an
Um,
update about the book or something.
oh yeah, we are. Oh, the book is coming along. We're Can you tell I'm tired? We are so close. I am rounding out my last chapter. I feel like I've been saying that for like weeks now. But hey, Brandon. Coming up on the end, we will turn in the manuscript at the end of the month. Our title and our cover design is completed, and so we worked on that for the last week and a half. So yeah, and the book is slated to drop in February. So once we get the manuscript in, we'll start like our major edits and things like that with the publisher and wait for them to send us revisions back, and we'll go back and forth with them a couple rounds, and then it'll go to print. So yes, we are very excited. Hey Janelle, hey Jennifer. Um, so super glad that you guys are here with us. I hope that you guys all had a great Mother's Day, either if you're either celebrating as a mom or celebrating your mom or the mom of someone you know. I hope that that was great last Sunday. I actually celebrated with my Bontrager family and had a good time doing that. And we celebrated Krista. Um, we had celebrated her mom a couple of days before, so we did that. Okay, guys, let's jump in. So, I went to Target today because I through in my feed, like, so I'm not really on social media a ton right now. I might pop in here and there, but it's like days go by where I'm not on social media just because I'm really trying to either write, research, read, whatever, for the book. And so what I noticed a couple like day before yesterday was that people were posting about Target a lot in their like prep for Pride Month and all of that, and just like the indoctrination of kids with the queer clothing. And so I was like, no way. Now I already knew. I've been to Target. I'm not like them. I've been to Target and I've seen their different pride I almost called it a monument, like their pride displays and things like that. But I mean, the way it was coming through my feed last night and the day before, I was like, my goodness, I need to go to Target for myself. And so what I'll do is I'll probably edit the video that I made on my phone looking around Target. But when I went in Target, there was a main display that you see like as soon as you walk through the door, and it's a pretty big display. It's the same display area that they use for Black History Month. And so when you go in, it's like all just decorated out for Black History Month, and then for Pride Month it's like, just boosted up. And so there were quite a few pride things. Not a ton of baby gear the way that it was coming through my feed, but things for your pets, things for, you know, adults, things for children. And so I wasn't too taken aback by it, especially like I said, in light of what had been coming through my feed. I thought that it was specifically their kids department and how their kids department had been like blown up with just all this pride stuff. So I was surprised. I went through the kids department and it was just regular boys section, girls section, the toddler section is combined. And so what I did with after that, because I was like, there's really not, anything that I'm surprised by, like shocked by. I thought about going to the book section because the last time I did any, walking around Target, I went to their book section specifically and noticed that they had, had a decent number of books toward just blackness and black boy joy and black girl magic and things like that. And I made a little video about that and just shared my thoughts on this pumping of blackness in Target, and what I thought that could mean to other boys and girls who might not see them represented. What did that mean? And so I took a video and I made a video about it, but I actually bought some of the books. One of the books I bought because it was the last one, and I was like, if I can just take this off the shelf anyway, that would be great. So I want to first play a video by a guy we met in Arizona, John, and I'm gonna mess up his last name, and I'm so sad about this. I want to say it's Amenchukwu, but I could be speaking under correction. He is actually Bishop Wooden's son-in-law. We had Bishop Wooden on Off Code, and John goes around to school board meetings and he speaks out. So you've probably seen a video of him already, but let me play a video of one of the recent school board hearings that he went to, and then we'll talk about some of the books and how it kind of connects.
Normal. I'll read some of a bit. A person's becomes moist and slippery, and the clitoris becomes hard. After a bit, a person's becomes erect, stiff, and larger. Sometimes a bit of clear fluid that may contain a few sperm comes out of the tip of the penis and makes it wet.
Can we, sir, I'm sorry.
Was it something I said? If you don't want to hear it in a school board meeting, why should children be able to check it out of the school system? We have perverts that are perverting our kids. And you all sit back smug in your chairs, but you don't want me to read it. Why? Does it bother you? Yes or no? You can't answer that question. You want to know why? Because politically speaking, you can't say that it's wrong. And you don't want me to read the filth because it exposes the truth. How dare you tell me to stop reading it? If you don't want to hear it, why should the children have to see it?
Pastor, your time is up. Thank you.
That makes two of us.
Kudos to John, just out there keeping it real. But when he talks about the filth that is out there now, I think in Target, you're going to spend your hard-earned money. You are going to or your child will spend their hard-earned money. But do we really understand, like, if you send your kid to Target to go and buy a book? At least when I could go to Target on my own when I was 13, 14 years old. Maybe you don't let your child go to Target at 13, 14, but we could go to the store, go to Kmart, whatever. But what is Target promoting as far as their books to young people? Well, let's look at it. This is in the little kid sections. I would say anywhere from 3 to 5, 3 to 6. 'Twas the Night Before Pride. Let's see. It says, it's the night before Pride, and families everywhere are preparing to partake. As one family in particular packs snacks and makes signs, one older sibling shares the importance of the march with the newest member of their family. Sitting on the couch with mom on one side, the family talks about what Pride means to them. It's a day filled with glitter, rainbows, and love, but it also honors those in the LGBTQ+ community who fought against injustice and inequality. Everyone agrees that the best thing about Pride is getting to be yourself. And this is written by Joanna McClintock and Juana Medina. Hold it up again. So, 'Twas the Night Before Pride. And kind of like 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. It's just a little story that rhymes. And so 'twas the night before Pride, a warm evening in June. All the people got ready with the rise of the moon. The drag queens all brushed their wigs with great care, and the bikers checked their tires to make sure they had air. All across the city, people's outfits were planned and instruments polished for the queer marching band. My mom told us all we should go to bed early. She's that kind of mom who's more boyish than girly. While Mama finished packing our snacks in a bag, Sammy started chewing on the edge of our flag. I hope Sammy's the dog. Oh no, Sammy's the baby. As I finished my signs, which I had laid on the floor, I remembered the prides I'd been to before. All day we will walk in the streets up and down. Pride's one of the best celebrations around. So this kid has two moms. Yeah. But I mean, one mom looks like she could be mistaken for a dad, but I don't know if she's just ugly or if it was intentional. I don't know. There are floats and loud music and rainbows and glitter. Last year we ran into our babysitter. Tomorrow will be baby Sammy's first pride. Can we tell the whole story? I hopefully cried. So we sat on the couch and a mom on each side. So this child comes from a homosexual family with two moms. So we sat on the couch, a mom on each side, and took turns telling the tale of the very first pride. A long time ago in 1969, there wasn't a pride march. It was a less fair time. Queer people all over, of each shape and size, didn't have any rights recognized. So much of their lives they had kept hidden. Even their clothing was something forbidden. Stonewall was a place where it was safe to be proud, but police would storm in to say this wasn't allowed. You can see that. So apparently that is, that's a man in drag. The illustrator has captured that. So one hot night in June, people stopped being quiet. They decided to fight and started to riot. More and more gathered to fight back in the heat. Some started a kick line in the middle of the street. Police broke up the crowd night after night, but the people stood strong, knowing this wasn't right. And so it began a march that spread worldwide to show everyone it's good to have pride. And so then you can see the protests. Pam, I wish I was kidding you. It sometimes happens we're not given respect. It can take a long time for some to accept. That's why every year we all get together and march in the streets, no matter the weather. I wouldn't be marching in the rain. To know that we matter, to show all we exist, and that any oppression we must always resist. So pride's not just about tutus and rainbow suspenders. It's about rights for queers and all our beautiful genders. Pride's a day that is crowded. It's a day that is long. It's a day that means together we are strong. As I closed my eyes, I thought of Pride's past. Pride means to me, being yourself is a blast. So tomorrow I will march with my family and cheer. Happy Pride to all. It's great. My family is here. This is the way our world is going, people. This is the way our world has gone. Now, this is a discipleship program. Don't play no games. Yes, this is teaching kids from a very young age. Now, this unfortunately would be a parent's responsibility. No, 4-year-old is going to walk into Target and say, "Hey, give me that book." But unfortunately, this just shows the worldview that many within our culture are adopting when, people think that that's okay to read to your kids, because this is their worldview. This is their framework, their come from. Side note, I was standing in Target and I was making a video and two girls walked by me and they were like, "Uh-oh, she's making a cancel video." I was like, sorry, friends. Now, here's what we get at the 4 to 6, 3 to 2 to 5, whatever age. What do you get when you hit the 8 to 13? Okay. Heartstopper. And this was, to be fair, this wasn't on the side for the 8-year-olds. What they had was the 8 to 13 in the general section. And you could actually, like, if you were paying attention, you could see the progression of the books. So on the 8-year-old side, it was like Percy Jackson and some of those kind of books. But then as you moved over, you get Heartstopper. by Alice Oseman. And this has to be written somewhere in Europe. Just because of the way some of the wording is said, like we say seventh graders here, they say a grade 7. Um, and it's written, or I thought this was more like comic booky. Krista called it a graphic novel. I thought graphic novel meant something else, but so it's like picture boxes with words. Back cover: boy meets boy, boys become friends, boys fall in love. So this is it's a story. Like, this has volumes to it. And so you get the first volume where the boys meet, you have a second volume where something else happens, you have a what do you call a yearbook album where they go through all of their friends. Like, you got I was in Target for a long time. I was captive. I was like, what is going on with little Charlie and Nick in this book? Because this is who they are. So one is Charlie and one is Nick. And I think Nick might have started out liking girls, but then he got persuaded, or Charlie started out liking girls and might have got persuaded. But you can see on the back of the book, this is Charlie and Nick, and they apparently are falling in love, and they have fallen in love. So I'm just gonna open up here and
How thick is this book?
see this book. Let me see. This book is
Hold that up.
it's over 200. It's 260 some pages. I mean, y'all have high hopes for these 8 to 13-year-olds these days. Because trust me, at 13, I wasn't reading a book this thick. But you also have to realize, look how interesting they make it. Like, look at the cartoons. It's not a ton of words. So it's not that they are, reading chapter books. These are, a few words here and a few words there. Let me see. And this is just a random page, okay? I just literally, you saw me, I just opened up to a random page. There's no kind of tags in it or anything like that, because I'm gonna take this mess back. I ain't playing. I can't be dog-earing pages for this. This just, it looks like either a text message or a page in a diary or something like that. And it says, this is Nick, it looks like, who's writing this. It says, well, it started last September. Everyone at school had found out I was gay by then. The bullying had mostly stopped, I guess, and people had started to be nice to me. There was a group of older guys who stopped the bullies, but everyone in the school knew I was gay. So I was practicing my drums one morning before class in a practice room, and I look up and see Ben looking through the door. He walks in and starts telling me how good I am at playing the drums. And I'm just sitting there like, what the? Because I've never spoken to him before in my life, but also kind of freaking out because I really thought he was attractive. Eventually, he comes in and sits next to me and starts talking to me about me coming out of school, and like how talking to me about coming out at school and how brave I am and stuff, even though it's not like I came out to myself or anything. It just got out because I told a couple of people. And then next thing I know, he's kissing me. And yeah, we just continued to meet, and sometimes at school before class. And like, I was so excited about it. I thought I had a boyfriend, or like I was having some big romance, but I slowly started to realize he was just using me for someone to make out with because I was the only gay boy he knew. And then in January, I found out he had a girlfriend as well. Some girl from Higgs School. I don't know if he's bisexual or gay or whatever, but it doesn't really change anything. He was just using me. I tried to end it, but he kept pestering me. I thought I'd meet up with him one last time to tell him to leave me alone, but yeah, that didn't go well, I guess. Ha ha. Blank starts with the F word. I hate Ben so much. I knew he was a duck with the eh sound. That part. I knew he was a duck, but Jesus, please don't ever talk to him again. I definitely won't. Now, this is Nick talking to his friend. I don't think they started dating yet. Charlie. Charlie responds, I definitely won't. Nick then says, I will kick his butt if he tries to come near you. So,
This is a book for
this is a book that was on a shelf for 8 to 13-year-olds. And again, to be fair, it wasn't on the 8-year-old side. It slanted down more toward the 13-year-old range, because you could definitely see that, like, Percy Jackson and there was another book that like a 8-9-year-old kid would read. But this book was definitely among, and I will edit out the video because I did make a video of it. I'll edit that out and I'll post it so you can see that they have like there is thought to age appropriateness, where Percy Jackson was down on the, the other end of it. But then as you swing, to your right, or what would have been my right, you get this kind of book. So this is called Heartstopper. It is part of a series by Alice Oseman. And I believe it is somewhere written in the UK because of some of the language or, wording that they have in here. Now, this one is on the young adult side. Young adults, I'm assuming.
for the podcast. What's it called?
This book is called, let me see, there's actually a 20% off sticker in front of the title, which is a mess. Nick and Charlie, that's what it's called. It's just called Nick and Charlie. But this is not the first volume. So this book, if you look here on the spine, it actually says volume 1. Sorry, that's a little blurry. But the book that I was reading from, Heartstoppers, volume 1, and it's about Nick and Charlie. Now, and there were other books. There was volume 2, 3, and 4 also on that shelf. I think volume 4 was like their high school yearbook, something like that. Now, here's a book that's just called Nick and Charlie. And this is about Nick and Charlie separating because the older one, I'm not sure if that's Nick or Charlie, the older one is going to go off to school. And so it just opens up, and I haven't actually gone through. Let me see. I'll read from the first page and then I'll flip to some random pages and see. This is from Charlie. As head boy of Truham Grammar School, I've done many things. I got drunk on the wine at parents' evening. I've been photographed with the mayor 3 times. I once accidentally made a year 7 cry. So that's what I mean. Like, this isn't necessarily written in America, because we wouldn't say a year 7. That's something that I heard in South Africa. That's something that I hear, I've heard in Europe, but we would say like a 7th grader. But none of that was quite as bad as having to stop everyone in year 13 from enjoying their final day of school, which is what our head teacher, Mr. Shannon, is trying to make me do right now. It's probably worth mentioning that my boyfriend of 2 years, Nick Nelson, is one of those year 13s. So I'm not sure what needs to happen in order to ruin this year 13s thing, last day of school. But, here's just a random picture. I didn't know the book had pictures. But this is Nick and Charlie just in bed. If I go through some more, let's see if there's any more. No, I don't think so. I guess I'll just read from a random page. It's page 146. We kissed for a long time. It's like it's 2 years ago when we're on Nick's lounge sofa trying to watch a film. Impossible. I can't think about anything else when he's running his hands so gently through my hair, across my back, over my hips. I ask if we should take our clothes off, and he's saying yes before I even finish my sentence. And then he's pulling my t-shirt off and laughing when I can't undo his shirt buttons. Yeah. You see what I'm saying, people? You see what I'm saying? So yes, I can't continue to read because there would be, yes, problems. Yeah, Nick and Charlie in bed, Beverly, and Nick and Charlie functioning in bed. So that's on the, what I would say, 14 and up shelf. Now, from the same author is a different book called Loveless. And I am not sure if this is part of a series. I only saw this one book. And Loveless is about a girl who didn't really feel like she fit in high school. And at her prom, experienced the same, everybody's making out except for her and things like that. And so and I'm not actually going to read things from this one. Let's see, where am I at time? Okay. I'm just going to read the beginning of like the inside cover because there's nothing on the back. This is the funny, honest, messy story of Georgia, who doesn't understand why she can't crush and kiss and make out like many of her friends do. Everyone seems to say that dating plus sex equals love. It's not until she gets to college that she discovers the A range of the LGBTQIA plus spectrum, coming to understand herself as asexual. Disrupting the narrative she's been told since birth isn't easy. There are many mistakes along the way to inviting people into a newly found articulation of an always known part of your identity. But Georgia's determined to get her life right with the help of, and despite the drama of, her friends. Yeah, see, Pam says, I don't read that stuff about heterosexual people. Right? There are boundaries. Yeah, I'm not gonna read stuff out of here. But I mean, this was on the shelf for the 14 and over crowd. And so, I mean, that would be right because 14, you're ninth grade, 14, 15. You're going into, being your freshman and sophomore years in high school. And so these are the stories of high school students. So it's not that this is in the young adult, like 20 something category, because in 20 something, why are you reading about high school students? That doesn't make sense. These are books that are intended for your junior high and high school students. Again, this one is Loveless. I mean, but they have high hopes and aspirations. They don't give your kids books this thick in English to read. But yet they will create a fantasy novel for your child to read that's 300 pages. I have questions. This book is 400 pages. This book is 400 pages.
But we can't read the Bible.
But we can't read the Bible in school. One. When I walked around, not Walmart, when I walked around Target, I actually didn't see any Bibles being sold. I could have just missed them, but I didn't see any being sold. The only Christian book that I did see was Joyce Meyer. And go ahead.
But here's the thing. I don't have makeup on. I don't want to be on camera. But Jeremy Bannister makes this point that I think is really important, and that is that
you need to come closer to the mic.
We give middle schoolers pages that are books that are 400 pages long, but we think it's too complicated for them to read the book of Ephesians. That's 6 chapters.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I mean, how low can our expectations be? How low are we setting that bar?
We have low expectations. I'm telling you, bruh, the culture, I sound like my nephews. The culture has very high expectations for your kids. Very high. The people with worldviews that sit outside of the Christian worldview have very high expectations for your kids. And I am telling you, there are kids out here who are matching these expectations. They are meeting them. Because this wouldn't be sitting on a shelf if it wasn't selling. What are you going to say?
But But when we get a high schooler or a middle schooler at church, we treat them like they're not capable of understanding anything. We have them playing games, eating pizza, and socializing. But this is how they're being discipled.
Mhm.
And these people obviously understand or think that middle schoolers can understand things like,
it's not even middle schoolers. It is, I mean, I would take this all the way down to your preschooler, because there's research being done right now that says that preschoolers understand sexuality and gender and all of these things. And so we can make programming for them in that regard.
but can
And
we
so-
talk to the youth pastors and
I don't
raise
know.
their
I'm
raise
just
their
trying to
bar
bring,
here? Like I'm in cognitive dissonance about how we treat students at church versus how the world talks to them like they're mini adults. Okay, I'm gonna go back to
no, I think you should stay. I think you should stay. But I think you bring up a good point that if we are expecting young people to be able to defend the faith once for all given to the saints, we have to be able to teach them the faith that they are meant to defend. If this, like, I can walk up to random kids, because there were kids who were behind me in Target who were like, she's making a cancel video, but they were also picking up this book. They had read the other books in the series. They know about these characters and they know how to defend what's in these books. But our kids can't defend what's in the Bible. Good point. Infantilizing our children is problematic. Ooh, linking on here to start trouble today. We need higher expectations for our youth. Trying to get my 9-year-old to read John. It's been a struggle. Let's see. I'm gonna save my last 2 books. I'm gonna go to some comments really quickly. Let's see. This book is so sick, or this is so sick. So sorry for our babies and parents who are bringing up children in homes who follow Christ but are uninvolved and clueless. Yeah. Now, this was at Target. What they are getting and what's available to them in their schools is something different. What if you missed the beginning of the podcast, go back and watch it and listen to what John is reading at a school board hearing that is available in the libraries of 8th grade students. Let's see. Rakita says, and she said more of those books are ordered probably because, oh, sorry. Oh, I was in the store chain called Five Below yesterday. Okay. And saw a huge amount of New Age and witchcraft books on the table. Last time I went, there were only about 4 Christian books. This time I saw one. I asked an employee about this, and she said more of those books are ordered probably because they sell more. She looked pretty young herself. I feel a righteous indignation because this store targets mainly teen girls. Yes. So then the question becomes well, do Christians target? Like, how do we, like, what is our outreach plan? Because the world has an outreach plan. The world has an evangelism plan. And they may not call it that, but let's be honest, there's a plan. There's a plan to target your kid. There's a plan to target my nephews. There's a plan to bring them over into an ideology that will kill and destroy their soul. What's our plan? Let me go through a couple more comments before I read my last 2. I am quite sure the Heartstopper book describes a similar situation to what happened to my little brother who decided he was gay. Let's see. Anything else? Kids tend to rise or fail to the expectations we set for them. I was reading Lord of the Rings in 6th grade, but my mother read to me as a kid, so I was a bit precocious. But look at Harry Potter. Kids seem to have no issue reading it, and those were just as long. I'm hearing Christians say they're boycotting Target, Lululemon, Pride, etc. due to pride. I mean, they're targeting Target, Lululemon, etc., do to pride propaganda, is this really effective? These are huge corporations. I'm not sure if it's effective or not. I think that's a really good question. I wonder more so is, where's the Christian book? And if a Target or a Five Below or whatever won't stock it, why aren't we ourselves buying it, promoting it and buying it and sharing that on social media? We don't necessarily have to go to the big box store to, and give our dollar there, but we should be able to offer an alternative. So when, Loveless comes out and it has 400 pages, where if we want to create stories for teens, where's the story of the high school couple who waited? Where is that story? Where is the art piece? Or like, how do we capture the imagination of our young people? We can't just give the imagination away. We can't just give our kids away to the imagination of the culture. But imagination speaks, and it captivates us. And so does art. And so where is our art and music so that we can also participate and captivate? Okay. Last two. So going back to Heartstopper. This is the Heartstopper coloring book. So if anyone ever says that this book was truly not meant for young kids, they a lie. Let's just be honest. They a whole lie. Because what older child do you know sitting up here who's not like an art major, but sitting up here coloring? Just coloring the color. No. These are just, they're coloring pages. It would be no different than getting just a plain coloring book of Bugs Bunny. It's just a coloring book. But why would I give a 17-year-old a coloring book? We don't. So, this, I don't know if you guys can see. Nick and Charlie just booed up. It's just, it's a coloring book. And so again, to think that this is not targeted for a specific group with a specific agenda, a specific way of thinking, a specific moral code or a moral compass, like this is the way that you should be walking and going. This is exactly what it is. And they have no problem presenting that to your kids. Oh, I never saw this page. So this says, can you move my my, what do you call it for me?
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, never mind. You don't have to. Okay. So this says fight the system. And for the podcast, system is spelled CIS-TEM. At the top, it says Happy Pride. Well, what is the system? Well, cis being CIS means you're cisgender or your heteronormativity. So what they are encouraging your young person to do is to fight the heteronormative cycles or heteronormative ways of thinking that are present in culture. But what is heteronormativity except for the heterosexual way of doing life? It's clear to fight the system, not SYSTEM, but fight the cisgendered ways of thinking. And again, I was just reading where research was being done on young preschoolers that talks about needing more queer theory and queer studies presented to preschoolers because preschoolers automatically gravitate to cisgendered or heteronormative structures and heteronormative ways of thinking. And so if they are already gravitating toward heteronormative ways of thinking, we need to make sure to bring in the queer ideology at an earlier age. Lastly, no, this coloring book is just wrong. What about me, girl? I had to spend all my time in Target today. No, I'm just playing. Just ask my 16-year-old what bothers you about stories that have LGBT in them. When they make it the focus over good storytelling. Yeah. Beverly said the parents one. Yeah. Parents are so in a fog when we see drag queen story hour. It's parents who are taking their children to them. The world is on it. The world is on it, but we are just too busy focusing on youth camps and concerts and throwing spaghetti noodles and playing games. Ooh. Well, I don't disagree. I don't disagree in it. But when we become serious, then we will have a different expectation for our kids. And so we can't sit back and say, well, my kid is going to be a Christian because I'm a Christian. That's not true. Your kid may or may not become a Christian because you're a Christian. And that is also a conversation that they will have to have with the Lord, a process that they'll have to walk out with the Lord. But as parents, it is definitely the responsibility of the parent to give their children the instructions of the Lord. This is why parents need to be the primary ones discipling their children. As a pastor, I'm glad to help, but it is not my job to replace you as the parent when it comes to teaching a Christian worldview. As someone who used to run children's ministry, I would have kids for an hour on a Sunday morning, hour and a half sometimes on a Sunday morning. 52 weeks out of the year, if the kid comes every Sunday, so that would be 52 hours. It's nowhere near enough. Nowhere near enough to be able to disciple children in the ways of the faith. This is something that parents need to be speaking into their children all the time. Now, this one is not necessarily about queer theory. This one is called Goodnight Racism, and it's from none other than Ibram X. Kendi. And I am looking at this one because of the concept of intersectionality. Intersectionality being a term coined by Kimberly Crenshaw. And I want to say it was first, like, it started out as the brainchild of Patricia Hill Collins. Yeah. And then Kimberly Crenshaw really ran with it. But it looks at the different ways in which people's ways of being oppressed or oppressions intersect. So for me, if you were to look at the ways, according to critical theory, if you were to look at the ways that I can be oppressed, I can be oppressed because I am Black and because I am a woman. So I would have two levels of intersection. I'd have two intersections. If I were gay or disabled, Black and woman, then I would have four levels of intersection because of the different ways in which I can be discriminated against or oppressed. This book briefly touches on intersectionality, but if you don't know, you just don't know. And this is what I saw when I read Kendi's book. What's the name of his book? How to Be an Anti-Racist. When I read How to Be an Anti-Racist, one of the things that he says is that in order to be, truly anti-racist, you must also be feminist. To be truly anti-racist, you also have to, and this isn't a quote, but you also have to support like the LGBTQ plus ideology. If you want to fight against racism, you must fight against heteronormativity and the idea of cisgenderism, or you have to fight for the disabled. You need to fight for all of the oppressed groups, whether they are biblically considered an oppressed group or not. And so because it's Kendi, I am not surprised. I'm not surprised to see this in here, but I am going to read this one because it's a kid book. And then I'm sorry. I'm gonna read the whole book. It's really quick. It's kind of like,
Yeah, what's the age?
oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said what page. The age, I would probably say maybe 4 to 6, 3 to 6, something around there. Much along the line of the what was the first name of that? Twas the Night Before Queer, or Twas the Night Before
Night
Pride.
Before Pride.
That's what it is. Okay, so let me quickly read this. And it's called Goodnight Racism. Here it is again. It says, outside the window, peeking down from the night sky, the moon watches over us. She sees kids smiling at dinner tables and yawning in their beds. But some kids do not have food, do not have beds, because of unfair rules and unjust treatment. The moon sees all kids, whoever they are, wherever they are, and shines her light on them. The moon wants her light to kiss every child goodnight. The moon delights when every child falls asleep. Because the moon knows when we sleep, we dream. When we dream, we imagine what is possible, what the world can be. And the moon glows a little brighter, whispering, dream, my child, imagine, my child, a new world, a new future awaits. If y'all don't think that they trying to bring in a new world and a new future, that wasn't part of the book, sorry. A world where all people are safe, no matter how they look or how they worship or how they love. A world where all kids have the same chance, equity, to have peace, to have joy, to have a childhood. A world where all people breathe fresh air and have what they need to feed their minds and bodies. A world where our rules open doors, open minds, and create equity, and justice for all. Dream, my child, create, my child. A new world, a new future awaits. Good night, unfair rules. Good night, cruelty. Good night, injustice. Good night, inequality. Good night, racism. Good night. Now let's talk about this. Okay. The intersectionality part comes when, well, equity is just thread throughout the book, and it's a very peculiar way to think about equity, that all people have the same thing. Where does that even come? Like, where in life does everybody get to have everything the same? I have 3 siblings and we didn't get everything the same. And I know that some people will say, well, that's not an actual, way of looking at equity and things like that. It's about making, equal opportunities and making sure that those who have more, those who have less can have the same opportunity and things like that. Again, in what world is that really the reality? But anyway, back to intersectionality. So it says, dream, my child, imagine, my child, a new world, a new future awaits. A world where all people are safe, no matter how they look. Okay, so no matter what they wear, that this is it. No matter if they, are a boy and may dress like a girl, no matter how they look, how they worship. So no matter how they worship brings an even playing field to all religions. But there isn't an even playing field for all religions. Okay, Christianity is true. And so what you see in this picture is that you have, oh, sorry, I'm way off. You have a kid who's holding a book that may be a Bible, maybe the Quran, I don't know, could be a Bible. But then you have, looks like a Catholic child who's holding a rosary, and then you have what
I was
looks,
going to say that was a Buddhist,
who?
the child with beads.
Oh, maybe, I have no idea. I thought maybe it was a rosary. I don't know, could be. But I mean, it's something different. I'll say that. And then you have maybe a Muslim.
I would say a Muslim.
Yeah, and then I'm not really sure what this shout is
African
doing.
spiritualism.
Oh yeah, maybe African spiritualism. So then a world where all kids have this. Oh no. I skipped a page. Yes. Or how they love. So again, this is the idea of the intersectionality. You have the intersection of race, you have the intersection of sex or gender. Okay. Sorry, let me raise this a little bit. And in this picture, you can see right here, let me go back. Right here, these are two men with a child. Here, it looks like there are two women with a small child. So again, it doesn't matter who you love, it doesn't matter who you worship. Okay. And of course, the equity that's kind of strewn throughout the page, but that is also part of Kendi's main fight is equity. So those are the last two. The Goodnight Racism book just reminds me again of the way that I feel like, one, this is a spiritual battle first and foremost, that definitely shows up physically, but it is a spiritual battle. But how this is just meant to go against God's design and his order for us. It matters who we worship. Krista taught me early on that you have to worship the correct God correctly. And if you are not worshiping the correct God correctly, you're going to have problems. And so for, Goodnight Racism to say that it doesn't matter who you worship is a blatant lie. We must teach our children, nieces, nephews, whoever, the young person that you're in life with, that if you don't worship the correct God correctly, there's going to be issues, because sin has a consequence. There's consequence for sin. And so that's the first lie. And the second lie that I noticed in this book is the fact that, love is love. Doesn't matter who you love. The redefinition of love, that I can love a boy or I can love a girl. Wherever I put my genitals down at night and by whom, it's okay, because it's just love. And in the teen books, it's the idea that it's just sex. What an assault on God's good design for us. That we are meant to marry, we are meant to procreate, we are meant to worship. If this isn't the biggest lie that the enemy is trying to sell us right now, that you can sleep with who you want, you can procreate or not procreate. So if you get pregnant, you can have an abortion. You can do it with your body what you want. It doesn't matter who you love. You don't need to go by that Genesis 2 design. Genesis 1. So yeah, it's you guys, we are definitely not, I don't even want to say we, our kids definitely need us to fight for them. First and foremost, by praying for them and making sure that we cover them in prayer, but then two, fighting for truth, because this here, that you can be the A. She discovered that she was the LGBTQIA, so she circles A. That's a lie. It's not true. But this is the truth of the culture. And the truth of the culture right now is making its way inside the church and being presented as a Jesus-sized truth that you can be the A and worship Jesus. You must worship the correct God correctly. This, that God did not create us male and female to marry and to procreate. The lie here is that you can sleep with who you want to sleep with. You can choose your own sexuality that God did not say. Did God really say that you have to be a boy? Did God really say that you have to sleep with a woman? Did God really say you must marry a woman? Yes, he did. So we have to meet them with truth where the world meets them with a lie. Asexual is I'm trying to give the technical definition, but you're not really, you're just kind of there. Like, yeah. If I can, let me see if I can. I don't.
Here, I got it.
Yeah, because I don't want to give that's my definition. I'm just I'm an asexual. I'm not really bisexual. I'm not really more of the non-binary. I'm not cisgender. I'm not, I'm not necessarily affirming within myself any particular
Here we go.
gender or sex. Are you looking on
Yeah.
what do you call it? I have the whole book. Where's my book?
Here,
So I can
I put it up there.
Okay. Not having sexual feelings towards others, not experiencing sexual desire or attraction. Yeah. So it's kind of I'm just here. I'm not really into that one. I'm not really into this one. But then if you're gender fluid, then you know that, and I don't know if did we show that video on here?
Yeah.
We did? With the yeah.
That was the last family meeting.
Okay.
From 2 weeks ago.
So if you go back to the family meeting from 2 weeks ago, we showed a video where a guy was like, we are all fluid. We are water. We are gods. And so he was coming down on cisgender people, or, people who identify as male and female and raise their children this way, by saying that we should be raising our children as gender fluid, because we're 73% water. And when you raise your child to be gender fluid, then they can choose their gender, or they cannot choose a gender. They might be asexual. They might not, participate with any gender at all.
But can you imagine the lie behind that? When you're 8, you shouldn't even be thinking about sex. When you're 13, you're not thinking about sex. But to program a child that, oh, well, if you don't have sexual feelings, you might be asexual, and then put a label on it and start programming the child that's what they're supposed, that's who they are. That's their core idea. That's ridiculous. I didn't start thinking about getting married until I was in my 20s. I just think the damage that does to a kid to say well, oh no, I'm 9 and I don't have any sexual feelings. Well, you weren't supposed to.
Yeah.
You're 9.
Yeah.
Go ride your bike.
But I think too that I think it can be different for every child. You know what I mean? Some kids develop early. So what do you do at 10?
Yeah, but
I'm not saying you put this on them. I'm just saying you have to also be ready for a conversation.
Yeah, but in a culture where you're feeding them
this
crap,
that's a mess.
And then you're setting them up to say A is an option.
Yeah.
And they're 6
or 4.
Your program. This is the program.
No, yeah, I do agree with that. I'm just saying sometimes you got to be ready for a conversation, because you could have an advanced child.
Yeah, but you're not having sexual attractions when you're 9.
I hope not.
That's abnormal.
I would hope so.
That would be a red flag.
A red flag. Hey man, go ride your bike. Krista, go play outside.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, guys.
All right, it's time.
Thank you for joining Story Hour with Mo. Hope you found this enjoyable. Actually, I hope you found this horribly sad and depraved. What?
Give the pitch.
Oh, thank you. If you haven't already signed up for our weekly newsletter, you will receive a free CRT education download, and it will, is it still SEL?
Yeah.
You'll receive information on social emotional learning. that Krista has put together. So make sure to sign up and follow our ministry either on Facebook or through signing up for our newsletter or on Instagram. Make sure to share about the Center for Biblical Unity, share one of our podcasts, or share the family meeting, and get other people to talk about this as well, or at least to be aware of what's happening. I don't know how many parents really know, if you go over and pick up some chips in aisle 13, do you know what your kid could be reading in the book section of Target in aisle 7? It's a little special. So share this out. And then know that, one, we are praying for you guys, but we're also praying for your kids, because as I'm not a parent, and I cannot imagine the stress and anxiety and all of the work that goes into parenting, even though I do believe that it is probably one of the greatest, if not the greatest reward in life, is to be a parent. I also know that it would be a lot of like, man, am I doing this right? God, give me direction, give me wisdom. And so I am praying for you. Krista's praying for you. We're thankful that you're here with us. And so that is it for this week. We will talk with you next week. God bless.